I always thought my life was finally on track. I had a stable job, loving parents, and a fiancée who made every morning feel worth living. Lily was my world. We'd been engaged for 6 months, and our wedding was just 3 weeks away. I remember her saying, "Aiden, I still can't believe we're really doing this." I laughed. "Believe it. You're stuck with me now." She smiled, brushing my cheek. "I've dreamed of this for years." Those moments used to make my heart race. But lately, something felt off. She'd started staying up late, always holding her phone close. When I'd walk into the room, she'd quickly change tabs or put it face down. I wanted to trust her. I told myself, it's just the wedding stress. She's planning things. Don't overthink. But the doubt didn't leave. One evening, while we were picking flowers, I said, "You've been quiet lately. Everything okay?" She didn't look up from her laptop. "Just tired, Aiden. Work's crazy, and I want everything perfect for us." I smiled faintly. "You don't have to do everything alone, you know. I can help." Her lips twitched. "You wouldn't know what peonies are even if they hit you in the face." I chuckled. Fair point. But inside, something twisted. The warmth in her voice was fading. She sounded distant, polite, not loving. That night, when she went to make tea, her phone buzzed on the couch. A message preview flashed, but I couldn't read it in time. I turned away, hating myself for even caring. The next day at work, my best friend Noah noticed. "You look like you haven't slept in days." "I'm fine," I muttered. He leaned against my desk. "You sure? Because the last time you said you were fine, you almost quit your job over a coffee machine." I smirked. "It was broken for a week." "No, you were broken for a week," he said, grinning. Then he studied me for a second. "This about Lily?" I hesitated. "She's just different lately." He shrugged. "You love too blindly, man. That's your problem. You see people how you want them to be, not how they really are." I frowned. "You think she's hiding something?" He raised a brow. "I didn't say that. But if she is, you'll be the last to notice because you refuse to look." His words echoed in my head all day. You refuse to look. That night, Lily and I sat down to dinner. The silence between us felt heavier than the food. I tried to break it. "Did you send the final guest list to the planner?" She nodded without looking up. "Yes." "Good. My mom's been asking." "She always asks," she murmured, her tone sharp. I blinked. "What's that supposed to mean?" She sighed. "Nothing. Never mind." I stared at her. "Lily talked to me. You've been off for weeks. Did I do something wrong?" Her fork clinked against the plate. "You're imagining things, Aiden. Not everything's about you." The way she said it stung. She noticed my expression and softened. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. I'm just tired, okay?" I forced a smile. "It's fine. I get it." But it wasn't fine. Later that night, as she scrolled through her phone, I watched her reflection in the dark TV screen. The faint blue light flickered across her face. She smiled suddenly, a soft, secret smile. The kind that once belonged only to me. I couldn't stop staring. "What's so funny?" I asked casually. She jumped slightly. "Oh, just a meme from Sophie." Her voice was calm, but her hands trembled just a little. "Must be a really good one," I said quietly. She locked her phone instantly. "You're being weird tonight." "Maybe," I replied, forcing a laugh. "Maybe I'm just tired too." She leaned over, kissed my forehead. "Then get some sleep. Big day tomorrow." "Yeah," I whispered. "Big day." I lay awake for hours after she fell asleep, listening to her slow breathing. My chest ached with questions I couldn't ask. Why did her smile look different? Why did it feel like her heart was somewhere else? At some point, I turned my head toward her phone on the nightstand. It lit up for a second, buzzing softly. Her hand moved in her sleep, pulling it closer to her pillow. Even half asleep, she protected it. That was when the first crack appeared in my perfect world, quiet, invisible, but deep enough to change everything. And as I watched her sleep, that soft, secret smile returned to her lips, the same one she had given her phone earlier. The smile that used to be mine. It was past midnight when the shower started running. I lay on the couch, pretending to scroll through my phone, too drained to move. Her laughter echoed from the bathroom, soft, careless. For a moment, I wanted to believe we were fine. Then her phone buzzed. Once. Twice. Then again. At first, I ignored it. But it wouldn't stop. The screen glowed from the coffee table, lighting up the dark room. My name didn't appear on it. Instead, one word did, Ethan. My heart dropped. I whispered, "Who the hell is Ethan?" My hand moved on its own. I shouldn't have touched it. I knew that. But I picked it up. The first message read, "I miss your voice." The second, "I can't stop thinking about last night." The third shattered me. "Once the wedding's over, we'll talk again." My vision blurred. I scrolled further, hoping I'd misunderstood. Her reply glared back at me. "You promised this wouldn't hurt anyone." I'm scared. Ethan had written, "Relax, baby. He'll never find out." I froze. I couldn't even breathe. My fiancée, the woman I was going to marry in 3 weeks, was calling another man baby. The phone shook in my hands. The water stopped. My chest tightened as I heard her humming, footsteps coming closer. I panicked and placed the phone back where it was, screen down. She stepped out, towel around her shoulders. "You're still awake?" "Yeah," I said, forcing my voice steady. "Just reading something." She smiled faintly. "You should sleep. You've been overworking yourself." "Right," I muttered. "Overworking." She sat beside me, her hair dripping onto her shirt. "I was thinking about our honeymoon. Maybe Bali?" Her words stabbed. Our honeymoon. I stared at her lips moving, wondering how she could lie so easily. "Sure," I whispered. "Wherever you want." She tilted her head. "You okay?" "You sound weird." "I'm fine," I said quickly. "Just tired." She leaned over, kissed my cheek. "Good night, love." "Good night," I murmured, watching her walk into the bedroom, my chest on fire, my world collapsing quietly. As soon as she disappeared, I grabbed the phone again. I opened their chat, scrolling further back. The messages were endless. "I missed you today. You looked beautiful at dinner. I still dream about you." And hers, "Stop saying that, Ethan." Then again, "Don't call me. He's home." My throat burned. I felt sick. I dropped the phone, buried my face in my hands, and whispered, "Why, Lily? Why now?" The bedroom light went off. She was asleep, peaceful. I sat there for what felt like hours, staring at nothing. When Noah's words from the day before echoed in my head, "You love too blindly, man," I almost laughed. He was right. I grabbed my jacket and stepped outside. The cold air hit hard, but it was better than suffocating inside. I walked aimlessly down the empty street, phone still in my pocket, messages still burned into my mind. Noah picked up after 2 rings. "Bro, it's 1 a.m. What happened?" I tried to talk, but my voice broke. "Aiden?" he pressed. "You okay?" "No," I whispered. "She's been texting him. Her ex Ethan." He went silent for a moment. "You sure?" "I read it, Noah. Every word. She calls him baby. Says they'll talk after the wedding. He cursed under his breath. What the hell, man? I leaned against a streetlight, staring at the ground. She was in the shower. I saw the messages. I can't unsee them. He sighed. Listen, don't do anything rash. Come crash at my place if you need to. I can't, I muttered. Not yet. I just need to think. Think about what? She betrayed you. I know. My voice cracked. But I can't just walk away. I need to understand why. He exhaled sharply. You always want to understand. Sometimes there's no reason, Aiden. People just lie. I didn't respond. After we hung up, I stood there for a long time. The world felt quieter, colder. My phone buzzed, a text from Lily. Where are you? You left the door open. I typed back. Just needed air. She replied instantly. Come back. I can't sleep without you. The irony almost made me laugh. When I finally walked home, she was sitting on the couch waiting. You scared me, she said softly. Sorry, I replied, hanging up my jacket. Couldn't sleep. She smiled gently. You're thinking too much again. Maybe, I said. Guess I just have a lot on my mind. She got up, hugged me tight. Don't. Everything's perfect. We're perfect. Her words hit me like knives. I hugged her back, feeling nothing but the ache in my chest. When she went to bed again, I stayed on the couch, staring at the phone glowing faintly beside her. That night, I couldn't close my eyes. The love I felt turned into something darker, cold, sharp, and heavy. I realized then that trust doesn't shatter with noise. It breaks in silence, one message at a time. Morning came too bright, too normal. The smell of coffee, the sound of her humming, it all felt fake. Good morning, Lily said, wrapping her arms around me. I made breakfast. Thanks, I replied, keeping my eyes on the table. She kissed my cheek lightly. You're quiet. Everything okay? Yeah, I lied. Just tired. She smiled, that soft, practiced smile. We should go over the wedding colors today. I was thinking blush pink and ivory. Whatever you like, I said, forcing my voice steady. Her eyes sparkled. You don't sound excited. I am, I said flatly. Just distracted. She laughed a little. You and your work brain. Always somewhere else. Yeah, I muttered. Somewhere else. She didn't notice. She went on talking, flowers, tablecloths, music. Her words blurred into background noise. I stared at her hands moving, the same hands that probably typed I miss you last night. When she looked up and smiled again, I forced one back. Sounds perfect, Lily. She leaned over and said, See? You trust me to handle everything. Yeah, I said quietly. I trust you. She didn't catch the bitterness. At work, Noah found me staring at my computer screen, doing nothing. He frowned. You look like hell. Didn't sleep, I muttered. Because of her? I didn't answer. He leaned closer. You found something, didn't you? I nodded once, slow. Damn, he whispered. What was it? Messages, I said. Her and Ethan. He ran a hand through his hair. Her ex? Yeah. He cursed under his breath. What did they say? Enough, I replied. Enough to break everything. He shook his head. So what now? You gotta call it off? I stared at my screen. I don't know. No, man, listen. You do know. You just don't want to admit it. I sighed. I can't, not yet. He looked angry for me. She's lying to your face. I know, I snapped. I need to see how far it goes. He frowned. You're torturing yourself. Maybe, I said quietly. But I have to understand why. He groaned. You think there's a reason good enough for cheating? No, I said. But I want to hear her say it. He shook his head again. You're still in love with her. Yeah, I admitted. That's the problem. The rest of the day blurred. I didn't hear half of what anyone said. I just kept replaying the messages in my head. Once the wedding's over, we'll talk again. When I got home, she was sitting on the couch with her laptop. Hey, she said brightly. How was your day? Fine, I said, setting my bag down. She looked up. You sure? You seem off lately. Do I? Yeah, she said softly. If something's wrong, you can tell me. I smiled faintly. There's nothing wrong. She studied me for a second, then smiled back. Good. Because I hate when you pull away. Don't worry, I said. I'm right here. She went back to typing. I was just checking the guest list. Did your cousin confirm? Not yet. Okay. I'll text him tomorrow. Her phone buzzed. She picked it up, looked at the screen, and quickly flipped it face down. I noticed. Who was that? She smiled too quick. Just work stuff. Right, I said. Work. Her fingers hesitated on the keyboard. You don't believe me? I forced a laugh. Of course I do. Why wouldn't I? She smiled again, pretending not to notice my tone. For the next hour, we sat side by side, her typing, me pretending to read. I watched her reflection in the laptop screen. She wasn't focused on the wedding list. Her eyes kept drifting toward her phone. At one point, she picked it up, typed something fast, deleted it, then typed again. Her lips trembled slightly as she read what she wrote. I leaned back, pretending to stretch, just to watch. Finally, she hit send and exhaled like she'd been holding her breath too long. The phone buzzed seconds later. Her face softened, that same private smile she used to give me. I swallowed hard. She noticed me watching. What? She asked. Nothing, I said, shaking my head. Just tired. She smiled faintly. You should get some rest. Yeah, I whispered. I should. When she turned back to the screen, I stared at her in silence. The glow from the monitor painted her face in pale light, calm, beautiful, deceitful. In my head, the words echoed, "Keep pretending, Lily." I stood, whispered under my breath, "I'll play along." I waited all day for the right moment. My heart wouldn't stop pounding. That night, when Lily sat on the couch scrolling through her phone, I finally spoke. "Who's Ethan?" Her fingers froze. Her eyes lifted slowly to mine, wide but pretending calm. "What?" I repeated. "Who's Ethan?" She blinked fast, then smiled faintly. "Just an old friend." "Why?" The light was too smooth. I could see it forming even before she said it. "An old friend who texts you at midnight. I miss your voice? That kind of friend?" Her face went pale. "Aiden, wait." I held up her phone. "You left this unlocked earlier," she gasped, covering her mouth. "You went through my phone?" "I didn't mean to," I said bitterly. "It kept buzzing. I thought it was work." "But it wasn't, was it?" Tears filled her eyes. "It's not what you think." "It's exactly what I think," I snapped. "You were planning our wedding while texting your ex every night." She shook her head violently. "I swear, it was just talking." "Talking?" I said, laughing coldly. "You don't tell an old friend that you can't stop thinking about last night." Her lip trembled. "It didn't mean anything." I was confused. "Confused?" I repeated. "You seemed pretty sure in those messages." She reached out, but I stepped back. "Aiden, please. I made a mistake." It wasn't physical. I missed something familiar. I stared at her. Familiar? We're 3 weeks from getting married, and you're missing someone else. Her voice cracked. I didn't plan it. He texted me first, and I shouldn't have replied. But you were always busy, always tired, and I cut her off. Don't blame this on me. I'm not, she whispered. I felt lonely. I thought it was harmless at first. Then it got out of hand. Harmless? I said, my throat tightening. You lied to my face every night, Lily. She broke down, covering her face. I'm sorry. I didn't want to hurt you. I love you. Love? I repeated bitterly. That word doesn't mean much coming from you. She moved closer. Please don't do this. Don't look at me like that. How am I supposed to look at you? I said, my voice shaking. You betrayed me. You ruined us. Her tears fell harder. Aiden, I swear it's over. I told Ethan I can't talk to him anymore. When? Yesterday. After I started acting strange? She froze, saying nothing. I nodded slowly. Right. You stopped because you realized I was catching on. No, she said quickly. Because I realized I love you more. I panicked. I made a mistake, but I want to fix it. Fix it? I whispered. How do you fix this, Lily? How do you fix planning a wedding while sneaking behind my back? I'll do anything, she cried. Please don't leave me. I wanted to yell, to throw something, to make her feel what I felt. But I just stood there, shaking. You should have told me, I said quietly. You should have trusted me enough to say you were unhappy. I didn't want to lose you, she sobbed. You lost me the moment you lied. Her legs gave out, and she sank to the floor. Please, Aiden. I'll delete everything. I'll cut all ties. I swear I'll prove it to you. I stared down at her, the woman I thought I'd spend forever with, and felt nothing but emptiness. Do you even know what you've done? I asked. She looked up, desperate. I broke your trust. You broke me, I said quietly. She crawled closer, clutching my arm. Please don't go. I pulled away. If I stay, I'll hate you. And I don't want to hate you. Her sobs filled the room. Aiden, please, I can't lose you. I turned toward the door. You already did. She reached for me again, but I stepped back. I'll come by tomorrow for my things. Please, she whispered. Just stay tonight. I shook my head. I can't breathe here. I grabbed my keys and walked out. The night air hit me hard, cold against my face. I sat in my car, staring at the engagement ring in my hand, the same one I'd imagined sliding onto her finger with trembling joy. Now it felt heavy. Worthless. I set it on the dashboard and whispered, You were supposed to be my forever. The city lights blurred through the windshield. I didn't start the car. I just sat there till dawn, staring at the ring, wondering where the man who believed in love had gone. The morning after I left, my phone wouldn't stop ringing. I didn't answer. Then came the knock on my door, soft, hesitant. Aiden? A voice called. It was Mrs. Reed, Lily's mother. I opened the door halfway. Mrs. Reed? Her eyes were red. Please, son, can we talk? I sighed and stepped aside. Sure. She entered, holding a small box of muffins like peace offerings. She's been crying all night. She knows she made a terrible mistake. She did, I said flatly. She told me everything, she continued. She ended it with that man. Please, don't cancel the wedding. She loves you, Aiden. I looked at her, kind woman, caught in her daughter's mess. Love isn't supposed to look like that. I know, she whispered. But people make mistakes when they're scared. Lily was afraid of losing you. She lost me anyway, I muttered. Please, she said softly. Give her one more chance. She swears it's over. I wanted to tell her no. I wanted to end it right there. But I just nodded. I'll think about it. Her eyes lit up with hope. Thank you. She'll do anything to make it right. After she left, I sat in silence, staring at the ring on my table, thinking about the messages, the words that burned holes in my chest. That evening, I got a text, an unknown number. Ethan, heard you found out. My jaw tightened. Me. We need to talk. He replied almost instantly. Ethan. Sure. Tomorrow, 2 p.m. Same cafe she used to meet me at. I stared at the screen, fists clenched. I didn't tell anyone. Not even Noah. The next day, I walked into the cafe. The smell of coffee and caramel made me nauseous. Ethan sat near the window, smirking before I even reached him. So, he said, leaning back casually, you're the replacement, huh? I sat down slowly. I'm the fiancé. Right, he said with a grin. For now. I ignored the jab. You've been talking to her for how long? He chuckled. Oh, come on, man. You already read the messages. I want to hear you say it. He leaned forward, his tone almost teasing. Since last November. She texted me first. Said she missed how things used to be. I felt my pulse hammering. You're lying. He smirked. Am I? Ask her about the trip to the lake house. Or maybe the late night calls when you were working late. Stop, I said through clenched teeth. But he didn't stop. You think you're different because you put a ring on her finger? She told me you were safe. Predictable. Boring. I slammed my hand on the table. Watch your mouth. He didn't flinch. Relax, man. I'm not after her anymore. She's already yours. She just can't help missing the real spark. The real spark? I repeated bitterly. You mean the kind that burns people alive? He laughed, low and cold. Guess she likes the fire. I stood up, shaking. You're pathetic. Maybe, he said, sipping his coffee. But at least I was honest with her. You? You're just pretending everything's fine. I walked out before I did something I'd regret. My hands were trembling so badly I dropped my car keys twice. Outside, the world blurred. The street noise faded. I could still hear his words. She misses the real spark. I sat in my car for 10 minutes before starting it. My reflection in the rearview mirror didn't look like me. My eyes were darker. Colder. That night, Lily called. Aiden? Can we talk? I took a deep breath. Go ahead. I know Mom came by, she said carefully. I didn't ask her to. She didn't have to, I said. She begged for you. I didn't tell her to do that, Lily insisted. I don't want to lose you. You already did, I said. You just don't feel it yet. She sniffled. Please, can't we try again? I ended everything with Ethan. I blocked him. You sure about that? I asked. Yes, she said quickly. I swear. I'll prove it. Just give me one more chance. Her voice cracked. I could almost see her crying. I almost believed her, almost. Fine, I said finally. We'll go on with the wedding. She gasped softly. Really? Yes, I said. But on one condition. Anything. No more lies, I said coldly. Not one. I promise, she whispered. I'll be the wife you deserve. I closed my eyes. We'll see. After the call, I sat in the dark for a long time. The silence felt heavier than any scream. I thought about Ethan's grin, about Lily's tears, about how easily love turns into a weapon. Something inside me shifted that night. The pain didn't fade, it sharpened. Turned into something else. Noah called around midnight. "You good, man?" "I'm fine," I said. "You sure?" "Yeah," I whispered. "I've made up my mind." "What's that mean?" "It means," I said, staring at the ring on the table, "I'll give her the wedding she wants, but not the ending she expects." There was silence on the line. Then Noah exhaled slowly. "Aiden, don't do anything stupid." "I'm done being stupid," I said. I hung up, opened my laptop, and started typing, not messages, not love notes. Plans. Every keystroke echoed in the empty room. This time, I wouldn't break. I'd make sure they did. The morning sun broke through my curtains, too bright for a day like this. I stared at my reflection in the mirror, suit pressed, tie perfect, smile empty. Noah stood behind me. "You sure about this?" I nodded. "Completely." He hesitated. "You could still call it off, man. Just walk away." "I will," I said, fixing my cufflinks. "But not yet." The venue shimmered with gold and white. Flowers everywhere. Guests laughing, cameras flashing. The smell of roses almost made me sick. When I arrived, Lily's mother rushed toward me. "Aiden, you look wonderful." "Thank you," I said with a practiced smile. "She's been crying all morning," she whispered. "She's nervous but so happy." "You're doing the right thing, son." I just nodded. "We'll see." Noah leaned closer. "You really planned everything?" "Yes," I said. "Every detail." He sighed. "God help us." Then the music started, soft piano notes, slow and graceful. The doors opened. Lily stepped in. The crowd gasped. She looked perfect. The white gown shimmered like light itself, her hair pinned with delicate pearls. She smiled at me, that same sweet smile that once melted every wall I had. My chest tightened, but I didn't blink. She reached the altar, her eyes glistening. "Hi," she whispered. "Hi," I said quietly. The priest smiled warmly. "Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to celebrate the union of..." His voice faded into the background. My focus stayed on her trembling hands. She kept glancing at me like she could feel something wasn't right. Then the priest looked at me. "Do you, Aiden Cole, take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife?" I smiled. "Before I do," I said calmly, "let's see who she really is." The room froze. Lily blinked. What do you mean?" I gestured to the back. "Play it." The lights dimmed. A projector flickered to life behind us. The first image appeared, her chat window with Ethan. Laughter filled the room a moment ago. Now there was silence so deep I could hear her heartbeat. Text bubbles flashed across the screen. "I miss you. I wish I could see you again." Then a picture of her, the one she swore she never sent. Someone gasped. Her father stood up, red-faced. "Lily! What is this?" She turned to him, panicked. "Dad, please!" But another message appeared. "Don't tell Aiden. He'd never understand." Then a voice note played. Her voice, soft and trembling. "He's good to me, but he's not you." Lily covered her mouth. "Aiden, stop! Please stop this!" I stared straight ahead. "No! You wanted everyone to see how perfect we are, remember?" Tears streamed down her face. "You don't understand. It was a mistake." "A mistake?" I interrupted, my voice shaking with contained fury. "You lied for months. You let me plan a wedding while you sent him your secrets." Her mother whispered, "Oh my God," and sank into her chair. Ethan's photo flashed next, smiling beside her at a cafe. The hall filled with murmurs. Someone whispered, "Is that him?" Another said, "How could she?" Lily's father slammed his hand on the table. Enough! Turn that off! No, I said, looking at him. He deserves to know the kind of man his daughter loved. Lily fell to her knees, shaking. Aiden, please! I ended it. I swear I did. You ended it after I found out, I said coldly. That's not repentance. That's fear. Her mascara ran down her face as she crawled closer. Please, don't do this here. We can talk. Just stop. I crouched down so we were eye level. You wanted a wedding, Lily. Here it is, your truth dressed in white. She sobbed harder. I love you. No, I said. You love the way I made you look. The screen faded to black. Silence returned. Only her sobs filled the hall. The priest stood frozen. Guests shifted awkwardly. Someone whispered, "Turn off the cameras." I reached into my pocket and pulled out the ring box. You know, I said quietly, I spent weeks picking this out. Tried to imagine how it would look on your hand. She reached for it. Please, Aiden. I placed it in her palm and closed her fingers around it. You wanted a wedding? I said softly. Here's your closure. Then I turned away. Behind me, chairs scraped, people whispered, someone cried. Her mother called her name. Her father shouted at the guests to leave. But I kept walking. Down the aisle. Past the flowers. Past the camera flashes. Noah met me at the door. You really did it, he whispered. Yeah, I said. It's done. She's a mess in there. So was I said quietly. We walked outside. The air was colder than before. My hands were trembling, but not from nerves, from release. Noah looked at me carefully. Do you regret it? I thought for a moment. No. I just wish I didn't have to prove the truth this way. She fooled everyone, he said. Not anymore. He handed me his car keys. You want to drive? I shook my head. No. I just need to walk. He nodded and stepped aside. I started down the empty path lined with white petals, petals that looked like snow under the late sun. Every step echoed, heavy and hollow. Inside, I could still hear Lily's cries, faint and distant. For a moment, I wanted to turn back, to comfort her, to pretend none of it happened. But then I remembered Ethan's smirk, her lies, her whispered words in someone else's ear. No. She made her choice. At the gate, I stopped and looked back one last time. The hall stood still, silent except for the soft hum of the speakers shutting down. I whispered to myself, the wedding that never happened. And then I walked away. I left town the next morning. No note, no calls, just packed a bag and drove until the city lights disappeared behind me. The air felt lighter, but my chest didn't. Noah called the first night. You okay? I stared out at the motel ceiling fan spinning above me. Define okay, he sighed. It's all over the internet, man. Someone leaked the video. People are calling it the wedding scandal. Let them talk, I said quietly. You sure about that? Lily's getting destroyed out there. She destroyed herself, I said. I just showed the truth. Noah paused. Still, that was brutal, Aiden. I didn't plan for it to go viral, I muttered. I just wanted her to feel what I felt. She does, he said. And now everyone else does too. I hung up after that. I couldn't stand the sound of pity in his voice. For days, I kept scrolling through news feeds I shouldn't have opened. The video was everywhere, shared, dissected, mocked. People who didn't even know us were writing headlines about the groom who exposed his cheating bride. Lily's name was trending. So was mine. I saw a photo of her leaving her office, head down, tears in her eyes. The caption read, "Former marketing executive quits after viral wedding scandal." I shut my phone off. Noah texted later, Ethan skipped town. Deleted everything. No one's seen him since. I typed back, good. But it didn't feel good. Days turned into weeks. The motel room became my new home, quiet, empty, safe. I'd stare at the mirror and ask myself if justice was supposed to feel this hollow. One night, Noah showed up uninvited. He knocked 3 times before I opened the door. "You look like hell," he said. "I feel worse." He walked in, tossed a bag of food on the table. "Eat something. You've been ghosting everyone. There's no one left to ghost," I said. "Emily's been asking about you." I raised an eyebrow. "Emily? She says you need to talk to someone who isn't me." I half laughed. "What's she gonna do? Fix me?" He shrugged. "Maybe she'll try." 2 days later she did. Emily found me at a diner off the highway. She slid into the seat across from me, her expression calm, eyes soft. "You look tired," she said. "I am." She waited for me to say more. When I didn't, she asked, "Why did you do it, Aiden?" I stirred my coffee. "Because she lied. That's not a reason. That's an outcome," she said. "You could have left quietly." I wanted her to feel what I felt, I repeated. Emily leaned forward. "And did it help?" I looked at her, really looked. "No," I admitted. She nodded slowly. "Because pain doesn't balance pain. It multiplies it." I clenched my jaw. "You sound like my conscience." "Maybe I am," she said gently. "You can't heal by hurting others. You just trade wounds." Her words stung more than I wanted to admit. I didn't do it to heal. I did it because she didn't deserve to walk away smiling. "Maybe," Emily said. "But now you're not smiling either." I didn't respond. I just stared at the untouched sandwich in front of me. She sighed softly. "You know what I think? You wanted closure, not revenge. But you picked the loudest way to ask for silence." I looked away. "Maybe I did." Emily stood, dropped a few bills on the table. "You can start over, Aiden. Just don't start bitter." After she left, her words lingered like smoke. That night, I sat outside under the flickering motel sign, the cool wind brushing my face. I thought about Lily, about the way her eyes looked when she begged me to stop, about how much love once lived between us before it curdled into hate. Maybe Emily was right. I hadn't won anything. I'd just ended it louder than necessary. The next morning, I drove to the coast. The ocean stretched endlessly, quiet, indifferent, free. I walked along the sand, the waves crashing near my feet. Noah called again. "You still alive?" "Barely," I said, smiling faintly. "You sound better." "Maybe I am," I said. "Just thinking." "About her?" "About me," I corrected. He hesitated. "So what now?" "I don't know," I said honestly. "Maybe I start again. Somewhere nobody knows my name." "You'll disappear?" "I already did," I said quietly. He didn't argue. "You're not a bad guy, Aiden. You just broke in the wrong way." "Yeah," I said softly. "Story of my life." After the call, I sat there until sunset. The sky turned orange, then red, then dark. I finally opened my phone and stared at the last photo of Lily and me, before everything fell apart. I didn't delete it. I just let the screen dim on its own. Maybe some scars don't need erasing. Maybe they're reminders, not of who hurt us, but who we became afterward. When the wind picked up, I whispered, "Goodbye, Lily." The ocean didn't answer, but that was fine. For the first time in months, I didn't need it to. It had been 6 months since the wedding that never happened. 6 months since I walked away from the wreckage I created, and from the woman who once felt like home. I thought time would erase her face. It didn't. It just softened the ache. One cold evening, as I watered the dying plants outside my apartment, I heard a knock. Soft, hesitant. When I opened the door, she stood there, Lily. Her hair was shorter, her skin pale, her eyes hollow. She looked like someone who hadn't slept in years. "Hi," she whispered. My throat tightened. "Why are you here, Lily?" She bit her lip. "I just needed to see you." I leaned against the doorframe. "You shouldn't have come." "I know." Her voice cracked. "But I had to." Silence stretched between us. The same silence that used to sit between our arguments, heavy and suffocating. Finally, she said, "I ruined everything." I didn't move. "Yeah," I said softly. "You did." Her shoulders trembled. "I lost my job. My parents barely talk to me. People still whisper when I walk by. That's the cost of lies," I said. "They echo longer than truth." She looked up at me, her eyes wet. "I never meant to hurt you. I was stupid. I thought I could handle it, the guilt, the double life. But it ate me alive. You handled it just fine until I found out," I said. She winced. "I deserve that." I sighed, stepping back slightly. "Why now? Why come here after all this time?" "I needed to apologize to your face," she said. "Not through a message. Not through anyone else." "You already said sorry at the wedding," I reminded her. "That wasn't real," she whispered. "That was panic. This is regret." I folded my arms. "Regret doesn't change anything." "I know," she said, her voice shaking. "But I need you to know something." I frowned. "What?" "I never stopped loving you." The words hung in the air, painful and heavy. I laughed quietly, not out of humor, but disbelief. "Love? Lily, love doesn't do what you did." She stepped closer. "I know. But it wasn't about not loving you. It was about not loving myself enough to stop what I was doing. I was scared of losing you and still craving what I'd already lost with him." Her honesty hit like a blade, sharp but clean. I whispered, "You could have just told me. I was afraid you'd leave." "I did anyway," I said. Her tears finally spilled. "You were everything good in my life, Aiden. And I destroyed it." I shook my head slowly. "No, Lily. You destroyed yourself. I just walked away from the fire." She wiped her cheeks, trembling. "Do you hate me?" I hesitated. "I don't know," I admitted. "Some days I do. Some days I miss you. And some days I feel nothing at all." She looked down. "Nothing sounds better than hate. At least hate means I still matter." I swallowed hard. "You mattered once. You don't have to anymore." She nodded slowly. "I deserve that too." We stood there for a while, just two people who used to be everything and now were nothing but silence. Then she whispered, "I hope you find someone who gives you the peace I couldn't." "I already found it," I said quietly. "In being alone." She smiled faintly through her tears. "Then I'm glad." When she turned to leave, something inside me cracked, not in pain, but in release. "Lily," I called softly. She stopped at the stairs. "Yes." "Take care of yourself," I said. She nodded once. "Goodbye, Aiden." The door closed, and for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel anger or heartbreak. Just quiet. I walked to the window, watching her fade into the evening fog. The sky was gray, the air cold, but inside, I felt strangely warm. Maybe peace doesn't come when you forgive them. Maybe it comes when you forgive yourself for loving them too much. I poured the last bit of water onto the dry soil, whispered to the wilted plants, "We'll grow again." And for the first time, I believed it. It took months before I could look in the mirror without seeing the man she broke. Every day was a quiet battle, one I fought in small ways. Work, gym, reading, repeat. That became my life. I filled every empty space with noise, so I wouldn't have to hear the echoes of her name. Then, one morning at the office, I met Clara. She was the new analyst, quiet, calm, and nothing like Lily. Her laughter didn't demand attention. It simply filled the room like sunlight on tired skin. "Hey," she said the first day we talked. "You're Aiden, right? The guy who works through lunch?" I smirked. "That's me. Living proof that caffeine replaces meals." She grinned. "Tragic. You should try food sometime." Her tone was teasing but gentle. Something about her made it easy to breathe again. Over the next few weeks, we kept running into each other. Coffee breaks, late reports, elevator rides. Small moments that began to stitch something inside me. One evening, she found me sitting alone in the break room, staring at the rain outside. "Rough day?" she asked. "Just long," I said, half smiling. "But thanks for asking." She sat across from me, sliding a paper cup my way. "Hot chocolate. No one can stay sad drinking this." I took a sip and laughed softly. "It's ridiculously sweet." "That's the point," she said. "Sometimes you need sweetness after too much bitterness." Her words lingered longer than I expected. Later that week, she asked if I wanted to grab dinner after work. "I promise it's not a date," she said quickly. "Just two people escaping emails and deadlines." "Sounds fair," I replied. Dinner turned into laughter, laughter turned into stories, and stories turned into something like peace. She never asked about Lily. Not once. But one night, after too much wine, I told her anyway. "She was my fiancée," I said quietly. "I thought we'd grow old together." Clara looked at me, not with pity, but understanding. "And she hurt you," she said softly. I nodded. "More than I thought possible." She didn't rush to comfort me. She just listened. That silence, that patience, it did more for me than 1,000 apologies could. Weeks passed. We started walking home together after work. She'd hum random songs, and sometimes I'd join in just to make her laugh. One night, she stopped in front of my building and said, "You seem lighter these days." "Maybe," I admitted. "Maybe I'm finally letting go." She smiled. "You can't erase pain, Aiden, but you can outgrow it." I looked at her, really looked at her. "How do you do that?" "By living," she said simply. "By not letting what broke you decide what you become." Her words stayed with me that night. I couldn't sleep, not because I was haunted, but because I felt something shift. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't angry. The next morning, I went for a run at sunrise. The air was cold, sharp, and new. As I ran past the places that used to hurt, the cafe Lily and I loved, the park bench where we planned our honeymoon, I didn't flinch. It was like watching someone else's memories. At work, Clara waved when she saw me. "Morning! You look different." "Do I?" I asked, smiling. "Yeah. Like someone who finally slept." I chuckled. "Maybe I did." Days turned into weeks again, but this time, I wasn't surviving. I was living. One evening, Clara and I stayed back to finish a project. When the office was empty, she looked at me and said quietly, "Can I ask you something personal?" "Go ahead." "Do you still love her?" I took a deep breath. "No," I said. "But I think a part of me will always care, not for what we had, but for who I was when I believed in it." She nodded. "That's fair. Loving someone doesn't always end when they hurt you. Sometimes it ends when you start loving yourself more." I smiled faintly. "You sound like a therapist." She laughed. "Maybe in another life." We packed our things in silence. Before she left, she said, "You deserve happiness, Aiden. Don't be afraid to take it when it finds you." That night, as I walked home, her words echoed in my head. Happiness. Not revenge. Not closure. Just happiness. I looked up at the stars and whispered, "Maybe it's time." I didn't mean time to love again. I meant time to forgive myself, for trusting too much, for breaking too hard, for holding on too long. When I reached home, I threw away the last photo I had of Lily. It didn't hurt anymore. It just felt right. The next morning, Clara texted, "Coffee before work?" I smiled, typing back, "Only if it comes with that hot chocolate lecture again." She replied, "Deal." And just like that, a new rhythm began, not perfect, not romantic, but real. Maybe healing isn't loud or dramatic. Maybe it's quiet, a soft laugh, a morning coffee, a chance to start over. I didn't know where life would take me next. But for the first time, I wasn't afraid to find out. A year passed faster than I expected. I didn't count the days anymore. They just blended into something peaceful. When my book, The Wedding That Never Happened, hit the shelves, I thought only a few broken hearts would read it. But somehow, it spread like wildfire. People saw themselves in my pain and in my recovery. During my first interview, the host smiled and said, "So, Aiden, the book's title, was it inspired by a real event?" I smiled faintly. "Yeah," I said. "It was supposed to be my wedding." She leaned closer. "And it never happened because it wasn't meant to," I interrupted softly. "Sometimes the people who break you are the ones who build you later, not by love, but by pain." She nodded slowly. "That's a powerful line. Do you forgive her?" I paused for a moment, thinking. "Forgiveness isn't for them," I said. "It's for us. You can't move forward if you keep staring at the wreckage." After the interview, I sat in the studio parking lot, watching the city lights blur through the rain. Clara called just then. "Hey, famous author," she teased. "You didn't look half as nervous as you said you'd be." I laughed. "I almost threw up before the cameras started." "Liar." "You looked calm, confident, healed." "Maybe I am," I admitted. "Or maybe I've just learned how to live with the scars. That's what healing is," she said. "It's not about forgetting. It's about remembering differently." Her words warmed something inside me. "You sound like my editor now." "I'll take that as a compliment," she said with a laugh. When I hung up, I sat quietly for a while. I thought about how far I'd come, from begging someone to stay to finally choosing myself. Later that evening, I went to the park. It was the same park where Lily and I once planned our future. I used to avoid it, afraid of the ghosts that lived there. But tonight, it felt different, lighter. Couples walked hand in hand, laughing softly under the streetlights. A little boy ran past me, holding a balloon, his mother chasing after him. I smiled without thinking. "Beautiful night, isn't it?" an old man nearby said. "It is," I replied. "Peaceful." He nodded. "You look like someone who's found his peace after a storm." "Something like that," I said, smiling. He chuckled. "Good. Storms don't last, son. But they sure teach you how to build better roofs." I laughed quietly. "Yeah, they do." When he walked away, I sat on a bench and took out my notebook, an old habit I never dropped. I flipped through pages filled with drafts, half-written poems, and quotes I never shared. I found one line circled at the bottom of a page. "Maybe heartbreak isn't an ending. Maybe it's an edit." That line had started my book. I smiled reading it again. My phone buzzed, a message from Lily. It had been almost a year since we'd last spoken. The text was simple. "I read your book. I'm sorry for everything." For a long moment, I stared at it. Then I typed back, "Thank you. I hope you found peace too." No anger. No bitterness. Just truth. I set the phone down and looked up at the sky. The clouds were moving fast, clearing away the last traces of rain. "Funny," I whispered to myself. "You planned a wedding to destroy me, Lily, but you gave birth to the man I was meant to be." The words came out calm, not sharp. Not like a wound reopening, more like a confession finally released. I stood, slipping my hands into my pockets, and started walking down the path. The air smelled like wet grass and beginnings. As I passed a couple sitting by the fountain, I heard the woman laugh, a soft, genuine sound that reminded me of something familiar. Not Lily. Clara. Her laugh was different. It didn't sting, it healed. My phone buzzed again, a text from Clara this time. "Dinner tomorrow? I owe you a celebration for being a published author." I grinned. "You just want an excuse for dessert." "Maybe," she replied. "But only if you sign my copy first." I chuckled, typing back, "Deal." As I walked toward the exit, I realized how strange it was. The same world, the same places, but a completely different me. A year ago, I would have walked this park searching for her face. Tonight, I walked it grateful that she was gone. Pain had carved out all the fragile parts of me, leaving behind someone stronger, someone real. And as I reached the gate, I whispered one last thing, not to her, not even to the past, but to myself. "You made it." For a second, the wind brushed against my face like a quiet applause. Maybe healing doesn't end in happiness. Maybe it ends in understanding. And as I walked away, the city lights reflected on the wet pavement, bright and perfect, alive. Just like me.